vigilante hold the universal ethical principles, the highest principles.
Covet.
They still covet.
Yeah, coveting is the basis of our economy.
That's right. You're trying to destroy capitalism.
Well, so in other words,
well, advertising wouldn't work without coveting.
Even if you if you strongly support a religion of which you are a part, you can pick and choose the rules within that religion that you consider worthy of yourself following.
Well, that's what Catholics call being.
Doesn't that sort of make most of it moot if you can just pick and choose?
No. It means you're responsible for your own actions, and you can't just shift the responsibility to some higher authority, whether it's divine or human.
Well, we secular humanists say you are responsible for your behavior, but not everyone agrees with that. Well, let me just regarding the Muslims, and I got this off of the internet, but it says by far the most dangerous of recent trends is the growing pervasiveness of Muslim fundamentalism, which both inculcates fanaticism and terrorizes moderates into silence. Operating out of mosques in major European cities such as Paris, London, and Antwerp, Belgium, radical clerics educate teenage boys with a steady onslaught of misinformation and hatred toward the West. In Belgium, a religious leader calls the 9/11 attacks an act of poetry and abstraction. Osama bin Laden is praised as a hero. At an annual conference in England held every September the 11th, the 9/11 suicide bombers are called the Magnificent 19. Now, is that a moral precept?
I think you're getting way into politics now. It's war. You're crossing the line.
Okay, is war moral?
War is a fact.
That wasn't my question.
War is always the instance where killing is justified
to some people.
Yeah, well, that's
like self-defense.
The people who would say it's an absolute commandment, it's the word of God to not kill, or will allow for killing in the case of war.
Of any war?
There's some that don't, Dave, but the majority do.
Of any war, or just a righteous war? How about the Crusades? That was a justifiable
That's
killing.
about the equivalent of what's going on now in reverse.
Exactly.
Well, of course, I'm suggesting
these people
that.
didn't save their souls.
What if it's an immoral war? Are you still? And many of us would say that what's happening in Iraq is immoral,
right?
And yet, the young military people over there who shoot and kill someone, that act is not immoral. Am I saying this correctly?
No, because they're doing their job.
Yes, but so were Hitler's people doing their job.
That's the way they've been told.
That's what they've been told.
That wasn't a satisfactory excuse for the Nazis.
Yeah.
I was just following orders.
Well, it goes back.
I think it was to them. It was a satisfactory excuse within that group.
And so when
it's judged by other groups,
so when it's
the same way as the 9/11 terrorists. The people who are within that group see that as a positive act.
When the
first
Nazis,
immoral act is the brainwashing that taught those people they needed to kill.
So when the Nazis, who on their belt buckle said something about Jesus or God or something, and when they shoved the Jews into the furnaces, that was not an immoral act because they were following orders.
You keep using the word as if it has a consistent meaning, and what we're trying to tell you as a panel here is that the word does not have the same meaning. It has a different meaning depending on how developed you are morally. The story of the Quaker, somebody broke in his home, and he has a rule never to kill anybody. He says, "Pardon me, friend, but you're standing right where I'm about to shoot."
I hear what you're saying now.
I just want to comment on the people who worked in the concentration camps. I would imagine those who couldn't live with doing that would not have been there doing that.
or they would have killed themselves.
So when
afterward.
one of your earlier definitions about morality was it comes from conscience. It's a matter of conscience.
That was one of the definitions.
So if those people doing the thing had a conscience, they probably would not have been there doing that. And there are probably various degrees of terrible things that individuals can live with.
And a lot of people do those horrible things as a matter of self-preservation. I mean, they had to follow orders.
Here we have to look at the motivation of the person. If they're doing it just because they're getting a paycheck, okay, that's, to me, towards the bottom of the motivation. If they're doing it because they want to be a good German citizen, that's slightly higher maybe. If they're doing it because they want to please mama, it's somewhere along in the same level. If they're doing it because they really believe in the process that they're involved in and they're willing to commit themselves to killing these undesirable people to make the nation a greater place, then they're like David Duke. Because that's his argument.
All right. Well, now that we're just about at the end of our show.
Out of time.
We're
right.
just about at the end, and we have tossed the subject around. But for those people watching this show, what will they come away with as to what is morality? How would people who are not involved in this conversation?
They will hopefully come away with thinking that morality is going to be different for different people at different times, and to examine themselves.
And then maybe not point fingers at people
point a finger at themselves.
Any other comment before our few seconds escape from us? Well,
that's it.
We are planning a second program on morality, and which we hope everyone will watch. And that program is going to be morality without religion. We've sort of touched on it here today, but I think it's a subject that we can get much more deeply into. And we would appreciate those folks who are watching our show to let us know how you feel about some of our subjects, and perhaps suggest topics to us that you would like to have discussed. We invite you to our meetings. We meet once a month. You'll find a telephone number at the end of this show. Call us. We can give you all of the information that you may need in order to welcome everyone get back together with us in exploring ideas from the humanist, non-religious